Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for creatives.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I am out in the Brecon Beacons today, which is an area that I've driven through, but I've never really stopped and explored too much. I did like a very short hike once, but I've wanted to come back and explore a little bit. So just came out for a quick day trip. Plan is to do this loop, maybe, and get up to one of the peaks. That's kind of the priority. I actually brought a new camera with me today, which I'm gonna use. I haven't used it yet. I'm not gonna talk about it much today just because next video, next week, is gonna be like a first impressions of it. But I wanna test it out, just get a feel for it. Hopefully create a couple images, I'll share those. And then there is one thing I wanna kind of focus on to talk about today, and that is just this one rule that applies to photography that I think is very, very helpful and can make a big difference. Not a huge fan of rules, but I'll share that today. But priority right now, I think, is to get some miles on and see if we can at least get up to one of these peaks. Got like 5-6 hours of light. Weather is kind of iffy, but it does look like there might be some snow up there, so it could be cool. We'll see what we find. So not what I expected to see up here. People digging and working, but yeah, I mean, crazy views here. So honestly, this is part of what I love about the UK. It's just the weather is all over the map, and it's like, you know, it's supposed to be sunny with clouds, which I was kind of like, might not be great today. Of course, it's not sunny with clouds. It's like everything's covered in snow and ice, and it's misty out. So just awesome conditions. I've learned to just ignore the weather report, and even if it says it's gonna be crap, go. Or if it says it's gonna be beautiful, which might not be great for photos, still go anyways. So last stop, camera and coat time. I feel like the weather's changed like 3 times since I've been on the trail so far. I feel like it's getting foggier and foggier, so keep an eye on that, I guess, because first time in this area, but it is pretty awesome.
So as mentioned, this day was really just a way to test out this new camera system, get a feel for it, and I was pretty excited at first just with the fog and the mist and how the landscape looked, but honestly, just struggled with image making throughout this day. The visibility was very limited, and you know, without any like directional light, it's really tough to even like find patterns or depth in the landscape. But still good to get out with this camera and at least see a couple files coming out of it.
And this is where I stopped today. Not a bad view. So pretty incredible up here. It is starting to open up a little bit, so I may shoot just a self-portrait and then head back, have like a 2-hour walk, and maybe I'll get lucky on the way back. There were some amazing views, but it was like fog and mist, and visibility was pretty low. But I do want to talk quickly about this rule. I will elaborate on it in a little bit, just with how it applies to photography, but I'm sure some of you have heard of this before. It's called the Pareto principle. If you haven't, it's also referred to as the 80-20 rule. And basically what this is you apply this to anything, so life, business, photography, but it refers to the fact that most times 20% of your actions make up 80% of your results. So there's these like specific things you do that end up having a big impact, and then the other 80% of the things you do are usually minor and have minimal impact. Still important, but just not the ones that like move the needle. And I think about this often with business. A good example would be like pitching or reaching out to a potential new client would be something that falls into the 20% category. You know, something you do that could have potentially a big impact. Whereas something like, say, spending a day picking a new color for your logo would be something that falls into the 80% category. Just these like minor things that don't matter nearly as much, but they are often the things that we keep ourselves busy with and focus on because it feels like we're making progress. And usually they're a lot easier than the 20% category. So for some reason, I never thought about this with photography, but I have recently, and I think more than ever, this applies just with where we're at in the photography world and industry with gear and tech and all this kind of stuff and the things we focus on. So I will talk a little bit more about that, but it's a really interesting concept to think of and apply not only to photography, but all these other aspects of your life as well.
So if you watched my last video, I talked about some new work that I'm going to be making this year, and a lot of it is going to be out in the wilderness. And one of the things that kind of draws me to it is obviously a new challenge, and then there is this like element of luck to it as well. Just, you know, going out and looking for these conditions where everything comes together and you witness these kind of like special moments. Unfortunately, the rest of this day, the weather just stayed the same. Everything was really closed in, and from an image standpoint, nothing that I would consider a keeper at all.
So while we're walking here, I'll just take a minute to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. They are an all-in-one website building platform. What I really like about it is just how easy it is to use and also the professional results. So they have all sorts of different templates, easy to customize, and just like a really hassle-free way as a photographer to make a website and not struggle with it and waste a bunch of time. If you want to find out more, you can go to squarespace.com, sign up for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can use the link below, which is squarespace.com/Kyle McDougall. You'll get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. So running out of time here. I do this all the time. It's funny, I'm still getting used to the flow for these on location videos, but noticing my trend is that I pick areas where I'm like, oh, I'll go do this massive hike. And then all my time goes to doing the hike. Today is a good example. Live and learn. But stop up here, I think, and finish my thoughts. Please be working. Okay, so that was a very unproductive day of photography. I'm down at the bottom now. But I wanted to wrap this up, these thoughts about this rule, because this is really the reason that I made the video in the first place. I was hoping I could make some images today, but just not enough time, and honestly the light was just a little uninspiring and didn't see much, but place will come back to for sure in the future. But 80-20 rule, okay, so like I said, this is something that when it comes to photography, I didn't give much thought in the past, but I did start thinking recently, like, you know, when it comes to a successful image, what are the things, like what is the 20%, those important actions? And honestly, I think a lot of the stuff that we like talk about and focus on and compare in the online space nowadays is stuff that falls outside of that into the 80%. So the things that still matter, but aren't the things that are gonna make a huge impact on your work. And I wanna make it very clear that this isn't like an anti-gear rant or anything like that. Obviously, I just bought a new camera. I think gear is important. I think it's an important part of the creative process. But like honestly, whenever I see an image that like moves me, that I connect with, that I'm excited about, I'm never asking myself like, I wonder what lens was used, or am I like looking to check like the corner sharpness, or like see what the bokeh looks like, if it's creamy enough, or all this crazy stuff that we talk about so often. And I think it's like the 20% are the things that are a little more difficult and that require us to step outside of our comfort zone. So like, you know, taking some sort of risk, or getting uncomfortable, reaching out to a subject or a stranger, asking to take someone's portrait, you know, digging in and doing research for a new topic. All these things that like aren't glamorous and that require a lot of kind of difficult work at times. Whereas, you know, with gear, it's quite simple. You can, if you can afford it, you could buy a new lens that's better than your old lens, and then you can kind of geek out about comparing sharpness and stuff. We all do it, but you know, those are the types of things where I really think you can get by without. And that doesn't mean that they don't matter. Again, I just bought a new digital medium format camera, but it's not gonna be the thing that holds back your work from being good. Like I said before, I think it's like the subject matter, the story, the light, the composition. Those are the things that fall into the 20%. The 80% is there, it's fun, it matters, you can play around with it. But I wanted to mention this just as like a bit of a reminder to myself, and then maybe to all of you, as well. Just, you know, if you're wanting to improve your work and you feel stuck and things like that, you can go and make like drastic changes right now without having to go and get anything better than what you have already. So 20% and 80%. It's a rule that I really like, and I hope if you haven't heard of this, maybe you take something away from this little ramble of mine. Something to think about, food for thought. Anyways, time for me to get out of here because it's dark. My lens is wide open and my ISO is jacked up, and I need a coffee, and I'm pretty tired. So, hope you enjoyed this one. Next video, I hope to make some images, so stay tuned for that one. But anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate you all. I'll talk to you soon.